Hello and welcome to the channel. You are watching Great Britons. Just had to remind myself there for a second which channel I was on. Hello and welcome to the channel Great Britons, and great to have you along. I do hope you're going to enjoy the content today, and it's been a little while since I've done one of these, but I have an absolutely wonderful one for you today. And today we're going to be talking about a lady by the name of Mavis Batey. And Mavis was famous as a codebreaker, working during the war, Second World War. And she actually was invited to join the staff at the code breaking centre at Bletchley Park. And she was 19 years old at the time that she joined. And it's fair to say that the team there had been working very hard since the outbreak of war on trying to break the codes of basically the Enigma machine. Now, many of you may know all about Alan Turing and the work that he did, and the team there were working on specifically, if you like, German messages, and obviously they had a lot of success in that area. The department that Mavis was in were, albeit unofficially, working on messages to and from the Italian Navy. Now, the Italian Navy were using their own system, which means obviously the work that Alan Turing and his team were doing, that was all well and good, that was fine, and they managed to crack the codes as far as the Germans were concerned. But the coding that was being used by the Italian Navy was somewhat different, and had eluded them so far. So, getting on for 18 months, 2 years, they've been working on it, and with no joy. The UK was suffering massive losses in the Mediterranean. We were sending over convoys of things like fuel and food and all the rest of it to our troops in various parts of the world. And it's fair to say that the ships were being sunk faster than we could replace them. So there were very heavy losses indeed of human life, and obviously of all the shipping as well. So a very serious situation developing there in the Mediterranean. Mavis had not been there very long. She's only been there, I don't know, less than a couple of years. And she really was exceptional in being able to look at these messages and very often see things that maybe her colleagues hadn't sort of picked up on. There's no criticism of anyone really. I mean, we all have our own sort of skill sets. Strangely enough, sort of academically, Mavis had not shone out sort of academically, but she just had this real individual skill of being able to put together concepts in her own mind of how some of these messages hung together and strategies that you might use to break the coding apart. A really unusual gift, it has to be said. Anyway, as I said, she'd been there, I don't know, 18 months, 2 years, and she actually broke the code, which was quite stunning, really, quite a stunning revelation. And on the run up to breaking the code, just to give you a bit of background, there was due to be what was expected to be a huge naval battle just off the coast of southern Greece, and a lot of the British sailors in particular were quite apprehensive about this because, like I said, we've been losing ships all over the place, being sunk left, right, and centre, and there was no intelligence really about what was happening in terms of what the Italian fleet was up to. So the Brits were very, very apprehensive about this up and coming battle. And so Mavis really knew that she was up against it in terms of time. And, she'd been pulling double shifts. She'd been working 16 hours a day voluntarily in the preceding sort of 2 or 3 weeks on the run up to this battle, which, she knew to be critical, in terms of how the British forces might fare against the Italian forces. Anyway, as I said, she'd worked, these 16-hour shifts. She then, as I said, cracked the code, and with approval, managed to send all this information to the senior naval officers who were obviously planning to sail past this location in southern Greece. And this completely turned the tables of this battle, because now, for the first time, Britain was very much in the driving seat. They knew exactly what was happening, all the plans, all the Italian ships, where they were planning to be, where they were planning to move to, at what speed, what course, what direction, absolutely everything, and put together a real sort of masterpiece of planning and organisation, where it lured the Italians into the position that they wanted them to be in. And a battle ensued, which was, due to begin, I think it was at dusk. Again, particular reasons for that, it was all part of the strategy. And basically, it was a massive success for the British forces. It really was. And it was really all down to, the work that Mavis had put in. So yeah, I mean, that was absolutely incredible. Apart from the obvious thing about the Italians losing many lives, sadly, obviously the Italians lost some very, very heavy shipping and other sort of, ordnance, stuff that was vital to their sort of war effort. So again, all down to Mavis, really. One thing when I sort of approached doing this, one thing I wasn't aware of is how many different variants there were of Enigma. So basically, once you'd got the kit, you could configure it in different ways to suit yourself. So, like I said, the Germans were using it in a particular way. The Italian Navy were using it slightly differently. Um, the Japanese were using it, albeit only when they contacted German forces. So they got these different versions. As far as Italy was concerned, over and above um, the main one that Mavis had cracked, there were actually two additional ones. One used by the kind of secret service in Germany, another for the German High Command. Now, these other two versions, believe it or not, were even more difficult and more complex than the main one they were using in for naval purposes. So there were actually two more. So she did no more than set to work on those as well, and they really were incredibly tough. Even if the first one wasn't, which it was. It's a matter of degrees really with all this stuff. But yeah, so the two additional sets of codes were even more, in inverted commas, unbreakable. And believe it or not, she actually cracked those as well. Um, Absolutely incredible. Um, I think she's absolutely a wonderful role model, and I cannot help thinking, why on earth are we not teaching this stuff in schools? Is beyond me. I think what a lot of us are lacking today, and I think the younger you are, um, the more forceful this statement is. That people need role models. They really do. And some of these folk during the war, I mean, absolutely wonderful stuff. Absolutely wonderful. So please, let's teach this stuff in schools. I mean, come on. Yeah. Um, Now I'm going to get back on my hobby horse again because I think I've spoken about this once before, um, and I do want to reiterate it. I don't know whether there is any kind of formal award system um, where we actually posthumously give awards to um, our wonderful Great Britons, basically, because I think there's so many of them that's been overlooked. Now, if you take the case of Mavis, um, sort of after the war, it was all, oh, hush hush, Bletchley Park, secret, all the rest of it, can't say too much, and all the rest of it. And everything was hushed up. So Mavis never did receive any formal recognition for her work. Now, she did get an MBE, but that was totally unrelated to this. I mean, she did a lot of work around sort of conservation and formal gardens and this, that, and the other. What I'm trying to say is this was almost a secondary career that she had, having the end of the war and having left her job. So the fact she got an MBE to me is neither here nor there. And in any event, if you look at the amount of lives she saved in doing what she did, um, not to put too fine a point on it, an MBE simply isn't enough. Um, you know, to me, it should be Dame Mavis Batey. You know what I mean? It's that kind of level. It's an MBE just isn't enough. And I wonder what some of those folks, sat in these places in London who decide upon these things. I wonder what it is they're up to. You know what I'm about to say, don't you? Which is that, you know, you've got certain people who have done, compared to this, relatively little, you know. They may have dubious CVs, and we all know who we're talking about. And they're all going to end up in the, you know, House of Lords with some wonderful title for having achieved relatively little. Our heroes are important. It's part of who we are. And if you talk about Armistice Day in particular, we are all very, very familiar with the term "lest we forget." So I'd like us all to think about, do we just want those to be lovely sounding words, or do we want to put some actions behind them? Because otherwise it's the same as forgetting. If we don't recognize what people have done in a more formal way, then they just become hollow words. And none of us would want them to be that. So anyone that has any influence on this, I would welcome your assistance in just reminding people what these wonderful, wonderful folk have given to us. Yeah, I mean, I do hope you've enjoyed the content today. I do get rather emotional with some of these things. I think they are truly important. I think the characters involved are just something else. You know, they really are absolutely wonderful. And let's do what we can to remember them. Not just for our generation, but I want history to remember them. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed the content. Do click the like button if you have, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye for now.